Good evening and welcome to tonight's Planning Commission, September 18th, 2025. I will call this meeting to order. Meredith, will you please call roll?
David Brown,
Present.
Adam Daughtrey,
Present.
Ralph Gonzalez,
Present.
John Hyak,
Present.
Victor Mendoza,
Present.
Dan Mikulinka,
Present.
Brian Olguin,
Present.
Braden Robertson, Rebecca Spears.
Present.
We have quorum.
Tonight's meeting is being simulcast via TV 15. Our first item on the agenda is the recognition of service to Dr. Derrick Hunt for his 2 terms served on the Planning Commission. Would you like to say a little something?
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say that it was an honor to serve. Many people think that I'm having a midlife crisis now because now I'm doing high school, not high school, junior high and teaching. But it was an honor, and we don't know what the future may hold, but I thank you for what we do and what you do, and we'll see you next go-around.
Good job, Derrick.
Good job, Doctor.
All right.
We'd also like to introduce our new planning commissioners, Mr. John Hyak and Mr. Adam Daughtrey. Welcome to the Planning Commission.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Well done.
Our next item on tonight's agenda is, do we have any citizens wishing to speak only to items not listed for a public hearing? If you wish to speak to an item not listed for a public hearing, please come forward at this time and state your full name and address. Citizens will be limited to 3 minutes. Not seeing anyone, we'll go ahead and do our next item, which is going to be our election of officers. I will call for nominations 3 times for each officer position, according to Robert's rule. The first office I will be taking nominations for is the nomination for chair. So do I have any nominations for chair?
Dan Mikulinka.
Okay. Do I have any other nominations for chair?
I'll go ahead and nominate Victor Mendoza, please.
Okay. Second time calling for nominations for chair. And a 3rd time calling for nominations for chair. So we have 2 names presented for chair, which is going to be Victor Mendoza and Dan Mikulinka. So I will call for a vote. If you can please raise your hand so we can count, and we will go ahead and go from there. So if I can get a vote for those who vote for Victor Mendoza as chair, if I can see a show of hands. Okay, hands down. If I can get a show of hands for Dan Mikulinka as chair. 2, 6, and 2. Okay. So out of those, we have Mr. Mendoza with 6 and Mr. Mikulinka with 2. So all those in favor of accepting Mr. Mendoza as chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Any of those opposed? Mr. Mendoza is our new chair. I will now entertain a motion for vice chair. Can I have a nomination for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Dan Mikulinka.
Okay. Second call for vice chair nomination. A 3rd call for vice chair nomination. With Mr. Mikulinka as the only vice chair nomination, all those in favor for Dan as vice chair, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Mr. Mikulinka, you are vice chair.
All right, thank you.
I will now call for nominations for secretary.
I'll go ahead and Ms. Rebecca Spears.
All right, 2nd time calling for nominations for secretary. A 3rd time, a nomination for secretary. With Ms. Spears as the only nomination, all those in favor of Ms. Spears as secretary, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Please raise your hand. Ms. Spears, you are our secretary. So congratulations to our newly elected officers. I will now turn the meeting over to our new chair, Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you. Okay, we're in the section for development items for public hearing. So we have, I believe, two items. The first one is a variance request in rural detached single-family dwelling lot size, city plat file number 25702. Can we have the staff report on that? Excuse me a second, can you hear me? Is the button okay? Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. This staff report is for a variance request for the rural detached single-family dwelling, which requires a minimum lot size of 1.5 acres, and the approval of the final plat for the Lucas subdivision. The property is located generally southwest of Oliver and Levi Sloan Roads intersection. The subject property is currently not subdivided, but the plat is developed with a single-family residence and farming structures on the property. The owner wishes to subdivide the property into 3 rural detached single-family residential lots. One of the proposed lots does not meet the minimum total area of 1.5 acres for a rural detached single-family dwelling. For this reason, the owner is requesting a variance in order to subdivide the property into 3 rural detached single-family dwelling lots, with one of the lots being below the minimum total lot size. The proposed Lot 1 will be approximately 1.24 acres, being below the minimum lot area requirement of 1.5 acres. While Lot 2 and 3 both exceed the minimum total lot area, Lot 1 is restricted on size based on existing structures that are currently located on the subject property. Lot 1 will adhere to all other development guidelines required of the rural detached single-family residential lots, including the state regulations regarding sanitary control easement and water wells, despite being below the minimum lot size requirement. The Lucas subdivision is a proposed final plat of 11.9 acres. The subject property lies within the City of Victoria's ETJ. The property is being subdivided into 3 rural detached single-family dwelling lots contained within Block 1, lots 1 through 3. The proposed final plat will dedicate a varied amount of right-of-way along Oliver Road to meet the required 90 feet of right-of-way for secondary arterial streets. Also, 20 feet of right-of-way will be dedicated along Levi Sloan Road to meet the required 75 feet of right-of-way for a collector street. Access to the subdivision will be from Oliver Road and Levi Sloan Road. The final plat will meet all applicable ordinances with the approval of the variance. Staff recommends approval of the variance request to allow the property owners to subdivide the property into 3 rural single-family residential lots, with Lot 1 being below the minimum lot size of 1.5 acres. Staff have consulted with the Victoria County Health Department and the Victoria County Engineering Department regarding Lot 1 being 1.24 acres, and both will be able to meet the state requirements for septic tanks and water well regulations. Approving the variance will not have detrimental impact on the area. Staff recommends approval of the final plat for the Lucas subdivision, finding it meets all applicable ordinances, regulations, conditioned upon the approval of the variance.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We will now open the,
Could I, question for you?
Yes,
I
sir.
noticed in the letter that it said that concerning 2 variance requests by Civil Corps, is it just one variance, right?
Yes, sir, it's just one variance.
I
There's
just
a
did, I
typo
seen that in
they
the
had
letter.
in their letter.
Okay. That's fine, I wanted to ask you about that.
okay, we will now open the public hearing. If you wish to speak on this item, please come forward at this time. State your full name and address. Citizens will be limited to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing. Any further discussion?
Anybody?
Okay, now do we have a motion to accept?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Rebecca made a motion, second by Mr. Brown. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our second item is variance request for a maximum amount of commercial driveways and right-of-way separation distance for a property located at 5101 Houston Highway. May we have the staff report, please?
Our second staff report is for a variance request to the maximum number of driveways for a lot and the minimum driveway spacing along an arterial street. The subject property is located at 5101 Houston Highway. The subject property is platted as a general commercial subdivision and development as commercial retail convenience store on Lot 1. The property owner is proposing to develop Lot 2 with a retail store and Lot 3 with a truck fueling station. In order to develop Lot 2 and 3, a site plan will be required to be submitted, reviewed, and approved before development can begin. The property owner submitted a preliminary site plan showing an additional driveway along South John Stockbauer on Lot 1 and asked for feedback before submitting for official review. Staff advised the property owner that the driveway spacing and the number of driveways would both require a variance for approval of a site plan. The number of proposed driveways exceeds the maximum number of driveways allowed, and the spacing between the driveways did not meet the minimum separation as outlined by the Code of Ordinances. For these reasons, the owner is requesting variances to allow for an additional driveway and therefore exceeding the number of driveways allowed for lot frontage and not meeting the minimum driveway spacing along an arterial street. Lot 1 has approximately 485.2 foot of frontage along South John Stockbauer Drive and is allowed to have 2 driveways. Lot 1 is currently has the maximum number of driveways allowed for on South John Stockbauer. The conceptual site plan submitted to the city illustrates a proposed 3rd driveway to allow access to Lot 3. The proposed conceptual site plan shows a driveway separation of approximately 57 feet between the existing second driveway and the proposed 3rd driveway along South John Stockbauer Drive. This is approximately 197 feet below the minimum separation between driveways along an arterial roadway. The proposed driveway does not meet the minimum spacing requirement for an arterial street from the existing driveway, but is being proposed as far away as practically possible from the existing driveway to not interfere with the raised median. The additional driveway is proposed to separate truck traffic from passenger vehicles. Staff recommends approval of the variances and subsequent approval of a site plan depicting a 3rd driveway on Lot 1. The city's Public Works Department and property owner met to discuss any alternative options in regard to the conceptual site plan. With the subject property sitting adjacent to the railroad tracks, which has a raised divided median for a quiet zone on South John Stockbauer Drive, placing an additional driveway that required 250 feet away from the existing driveway is not practical due to the raised divided median. The Public Works Department supports the approval of variances allowing for a 3rd driveway as well being below the minimum driveway separation requirements. Staff has determined the approval of the variance would not significantly change the existing character of the area and would not be detrimental to the surrounding lots, as the raised median is a mitigating factor in development of adjacent properties. Staff has also determined the approval of this variance will allow for the orderly development of the vacant lots within the subdivision.
Thank you. We will now open the public hearing. If you have to speak on this item, please come forward at this time and state your full name and address. Citizens will be limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Commission. Donnie Schellenberger, Construction Manager for CL Thomas Speedy Stop. I've got nothing to present, but I'm here to answer any questions that you may have on the application.
I have a question. I don't know if it's time yet, but it's mostly for the city. So a quiet zone, can you tear down a piece of a quiet zone?
No, you can't. It
I
takes.
did not know that.
Yeah, that is why we've the reason we are supporting the variance. Our Public Works Director did let us know that the railroad company would not let us cut it back any further. Where it is set at now is the minimum requirement that they require.
I understand. So is there not a quiet zone, I guess, near every railroad crossing? Or just that one? I mean, I know
There are some, I believe there are some others down, but it also depends if the railroad requires it at that time. I don't know why this one particular has it, but the city doesn't determine those. The railroad makes that determination where those zones go and where a median's required.
I can speak to a little bit of that just from general understanding. That median there dividing allows, the railroad crossing bars to come down, and in having the median, traffic cannot hop over the median to duck around it. Therefore, then the train conductor does not have to blow his horn through that quiet zone without that divided median meeting that minimum depth there, which is why Mr. Gill had said we wouldn't be allowed to modify that, because in modifying it, then the city would lose that quiet zone designation. So if that provides a little clarification.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've got this, I'm gonna stand up. This is lot 3, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Will they be, will there be any, there won't be any entrance and exit there in that lot 3, will there?
No, sir. We plan to develop that lot 2 and 3 kind of concurrently. I'm not sure why it didn't get replatted together when the overall site was developed, but in the course of doing this, we more than likely will end up replatting those properties together. But that is correct. There's not going to be a separate entrance, obviously, because of the quiet zone, and that's.
So how do we know that? So is that part of the, so you're gonna replat lot 3 again?
Maybe. I'm not familiar with that process, but ultimately, we looked at trying to put the driveway all the way to that north end closest to the railroad tracks. But from a flow perspective with that median there, and then the discussion with traffic department and team, understanding that there was no possibility of cutting through that median to allow that access with the driveway farther north, which potentially could get closer to meeting those driveway spacing separations. It wasn't, there was no feasibility there. He said absolutely not on losing that quiet zone designation. So that's why we slid it as far, or where it's currently drawn, it's as far north as we can get it. In this reference, I think it's technically south from a north, south, east, west perspective.
And the comment about using the existing one already there would, I guess, bottleneck things?
Yes, sir.
The reference in there?
That's right. The intent for this new driveway, we're planning to add, it's multiple faceted. We're not going to develop it all at the same time, but there's plan for a new retail facility shown in the drawing there to the left. The retail facility needs access in and out from multiple points, and there's no feasible way to cut and give access through the convenience store parking lot fluidly. I'm less so worried about that, but it's more so for the expanded fueling capacity for trucks, to accommodate the Caterpillars and the FedExes and the Amazons and all of the heavy industrial development that's going on behind us. Giving those guys access in and out really needs another drive, because it would create too much of a bottleneck trying to utilize one of our existing driveways and then trying to then somehow lose parking capacity to make some sort of a snaked cut through into and out of the site. So that's ultimately why, from a flow perspective, traffic coming in and out from Houston, from Victoria, from John Stockbauer, from all directions, we need that extra separate drive in order to keep that separate business accessibility and truck flow smooth without negatively impacting our convenience store business traffic flow.
So I got a question. So I'm a CDL truck driver instructor.
Yes, sir.
So how's that? I'm looking from the city of Victoria aspect when it comes, has a traffic study been conducted for that when it comes to traffic eventually coming off of there and eventually causing potential damage to that road? Because you're running 40,000-pound trucks in and out of there on a constant basis, and I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not say I don't support the whole idea, but I've been going in and out of truck stops before, and it's a great idea to have entrance and exits for commercial vehicles. But I'm kind of concerned. Originally, that was built for the gas station itself. Was it originally in the master plan, or was this originally?
No, this is a very recent kind of planning development. We've owned the overall property, the multiple lots for years, but one of our tenants that currently resides in our building next to us is grown out of his space and has approached us about building a larger retail facility. And in doing so, Mr. Thomas, our owner, has for a long time wanted to do truck fueling, but it wasn't part of the original development when the site was built 10 or 12 years ago. It was before my time, so I can't speak
you're
to.
good.
But no, this really just kind of evolved and developed here in the last calendar year.
Do we know if a traffic study has been conducted on it, on the amount of traffic coming in and out of the area?
I'm not aware that any traffic flow or traffic study has been. I know TxDOT didn't require or ask for it on the Houston highway frontage. I could be wrong, but I think that John Stockbauer frontage is entirely concrete. But
Right, no,
sir, to answer your
you're correct.
question about
Concrete.
traffic,
Yeah, you're correct.
So
we
concrete.
haven't been asked to, but I certainly understand.
Only
if
reason I'm
that's a-
concerned because you got that railroad track right there, and you're gonna definitely, if you're expecting commercial vehicles coming in and out of there, not having a turn lane and potentially not being there, you're gonna bottle up that one side going outbound to 59, and then you're gonna hit that traffic going out of that. If you got in and out commercial vehicles going in and out there, I'm kind of concerned with the amount of wear and tear that's gonna be on that road and causing damage, and now the city's gonna have to repair it. So, I like the idea of the business being there, but I'm kind of thinking outside the box a little bit of potential ramifications it could have on the taxpayers. I mean,
Understand.
that's one of the biggest things I'm kind of concerned at, is the bottleneck possibility coming through the track and going all over the track. So I like the idea, but that's only the concern that I have.
Okay, appreciate it.
As far as the driveway, like for the trucks, will that be dedicated for truck service, or will it be customers and trucks?
The plan is for both.
For both?
And that's why we ultimately kind of placed it, we've got drawn there reflecting vehicular traffic, but the logic is needing both sides is the thinking through Waterloo, who plans to utilize the retail space that we're planning to build as kind of the phase one of this overall development. Their vehicular traffic, he says he gets a lot of traffic from Houston, from city of Victoria, kind of from all directions. And the potential of putting only that driveway in and out of Houston highway, well, then the traffic that wants to go into the city of Victoria will then have, turn right out of that going toward the airport, have to go down and cut a U-turn to come back into town, and it would be contraflow. So long-term, having that overall vehicular traffic, both for trucks and for the fishermen who will be, patronizing the business there at Waterloo. And then the third part of that phase is also the long-term plan to add a third or a second vacuum canopy on the left side of that car wash. We're seeing a lot of desire and need for that. It'll be a mix use of both heavy truck and light auto pedestrian vehicular traffic through both sides of that driveway.
I don't guess there's enough study done on the amount of traffic, like what you were alluding to earlier, to determine if that's some concern with traffic, car traffic, customer traffic, and truck traffic on the same driveway. There's not enough study for the amount of traffic.
I mean, we have a lot of convenience stores that have, I say truck traffic. We've got very few that have heavy truck traffic, but just knowing what our vehicular traffic is out of the convenience stores. No, we haven't done a traffic study currently, but again, it hasn't come to that point. Not to say that it wouldn't potentially come into play, during the development permitting process. But this is the first it's been requested or asked.
So we did meet with them, and Public Works Director Ken Gill, used to be our city engineer, and he did not see any issues with the traffic in that area, and they added with the truck for the roads and that. So that was part of the discussion with Ken, and that was not one of the concerns he had.
Yeah, a lot of them that I've seen, I fully understand what you're saying. The whole thing is, you got 73 feet worth of truck and trailer. That's with you have a sleeper, and then you have a hazmat, especially when you have potential hazmat being that close to the railroad track. The normal truck stops like that have entrance and exits specifically for commercial vehicles. Not saying that small vehicles such as cars and trucks don't go through there. So it's okay, have you contacted the Railroad Commission to see if that's all right to have that close to the railroad track? To see if hazmat coming in and out there is not close to that track? Because I know normally owners of tracks, because I used to work at TxDOT, the train owners got 25 feet left and right of the track normally. So how close is the entrance and the fuel pumps going to be in relation to that track?
The way we've got it rendered now, we're actually planning to pull it south as we've had some continued site development. This is a early conceptual drawing. To answer that first question, no, we haven't reached out to the Railroad Commission, as I wasn't aware that we needed to. We really started with the
Right.
local jurisdiction that we're abutting in regards to putting the driveway. But if we need to, we can certainly take those steps should it be necessary. But, in our kind of our preliminary development meeting with the city and all the departments that are applicable, that wasn't brought to the attention or concern. So we hadn't gone to that step yet. As far as for proximity, the early idea was kind of having more a main artery there from the driveway straight through and around to in front of the retail. Since then, we've reconsidered that, and we want to try to bring that fuel lane closer to the store. We're not going to cut that main artery because we don't want that traffic coming from the retail space to have to go out and around the fuel canopy to hit that driveway. But we also want to not make it a mile-long walk for the trucking public to have to go, hook up and start the diesel flow and walk into the C-store to come get a drink and use the restroom and wash their hands, et cetera, to go back. So we are planning on pulling that farther south. But I hope that answers your questions.
And as a reminder, this is just their preliminary site plan. This hasn't been for official review. The reason they are coming in for variance is because the main factor or issue we saw as a city was needing that extra driveway and not meeting those standards. So depending on how they laid the rest of the lot out was going to be dependent on the driveway of it. So the preliminary layout that you're seeing right now may not be their final official coming in. Right now, it is just for that driveway to see if they can go ahead and then get the approval of the driveway so they can finish their conceptual drawing to see if everything else will work with the other regulations coming in.
That's my only concern is the amount of traffic going in and out of there in relations to the street and roads and stuff like that. That's the only thing I have.
Understand. Yeah, and she's right. Thank you for that clarification, Celeste. Yeah, this is really, we always try to do, having done a lot of stores over many years, it's important that we get that feasibility. We went through the same exercise with TxDOT, making sure that we could get the driveway on the Houston Highway frontage, because it also didn't technically meet the stack back need from our current driveway there, but due to all of the greater circumstances of, roadway speed and the divided median only one way and et cetera, they were understanding and agreeable to. So then the next step was, John Stockbar not being a TxDOT right away, working with, the city on just checking feasibility initially to determine if we can get it. Then that'll really drive moving into engineering, full engineering and design on the site. If we can't get it, then it probably is going to be a deal breaker on the overall development of this, three-phase expansion. But just trying to, take the right steps and not spend a lot of time and money doing full engineering and design to then find out we can't get the driveway.
Yeah,
So just
absolutely.
not putting the cart before the horse.
Yes, sir.
For a question.
Any other questions or? Anybody else? Any comments from the public? If not, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any further discussion amongst ourselves for us? If not, do I have a motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
Motion? Need a second? Rebecca?
I'll second.
Okay, motion passed.
You need to take a vote.
Oh, sorry. I'm new at this, right? Okay. You'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. Now we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, now we have, we're down to the consent agenda. Thank you, Celeste, for keeping me straight, okay? And we have two items. The adoption of the minutes, of our last meeting and the final plat for the Lucas subdivision. Do we have a motion?
Move approval for the consent agenda.
Mr. Brown,
I'll second.
Dan second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Let's see. Now, may we have the monthly development report?
In August of 2025, we had a total of 137 building permits, which is less than last year. A total of 158 MEP permits, which was also less than last year. And then fees collected, we had $46,002, which is also less than last year at this time. We didn't have any plats submitted in the month of August. We had 3 site plans, 3 site modifications, and 1 city council action for the variance for the residential fencing materials at 92 Joplin Street, which was denied.
Okay, thank you. Any items from the commissioners?
I have one item. So it's a question for the city. So when something new comes along like this, is the traffic congestion considered at all? Is there a formal process? Not just Mr. Gill saying no, no?
Yeah, no, so it depends on, what we do when we look at the site plan. When they give us the official one, our city engineer will review it. He will then determine if a traffic impact analysis study is going to be required or if any traffic counts at that time will be required in the preliminary review. So those are taken into account once the official submittal is done.
Is there a criteria which triggers that?
Yes, it depends on the number of traffic visits for total. So it's not just based on commercial or personal vehicle uses, it's for the total trips taken that it is projected to generate. So there is a criteria set out that we do review, but before we require that extra step, we wanted, before they're going to pay for that engineering and other things, that's why we recommended them to come for the variance of the driveway. Now we can move forward and let them know if they can proceed on. But yes, so there may be a formal traffic study, which can be many pages, or it could be light that it wouldn't trigger an actual traffic study.
And where is that written?
In the UDO. So I can send you.
Is it at all possible maybe just to have a glimpse of that at the next meeting?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we can for sure do that. And I can also email you a copy of that.
Okay, seeing no other business, I will adjourn this meeting at 5:48 p.m. Thank you.
Good job.
Good job.